Hey everybody, it's PartyElite. Welcome you to the 10th episode of our IXION Let's Play, which, ladies and gentlemen, is a rather major milestone. Things have been getting a little bit more precariously balanced of late. Last session was our most intense as far as losses are concerned, but overall we've been doing pretty well and keeping things steady, though of course I'll be keeping a wary eye on the horizon. With that said, folks, if you've been enjoying this series, if you would like to see it continue, please don't hesitate to keep letting me know by leaving those likes and comments down below. And if you've been really enjoying this series, you might want to consider becoming a channel member or patron just as a way to support the channel. Again, there is never any obligation or pressure, that's why I try not to mention it too often, but links to both of those are in the description down below, and it's just another way, again, to support the channel, and you can consider it to be sort of like a Twitch sub or like a subscription to your favorite streaming service, except, of course, over here, all the content will always be freely available, and there are additional perks to becoming a channel member or a channel patron. You can, again, either use those links in the description or click the join button just underneath the video instead, or separately, if that's not your cup of tea, you can consider leaving a super thanks instead, which is the little heart-shaped button next to the join button below the video. Again, and as always, folks, no pressure, no obligation, I cannot stress that enough. It is just another way to show some support if you've been enjoying what you've been seeing on the channel. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get down to business. Our massive redesign of the Tiqqun interior is still ongoing. Down over here, this stockpile needs to be emptied out and then demolished, which will then allow us to continue our work down over here. Whereas in Sector 2, most of our redesign is actually planning based on previous discussions, which are, I think, now going to have to be adjusted. Of course, the DLS center is a must-have over here. Stability is a bit of an issue, and we want to try and stay on top of that as best as possible, and propaganda is going to help with that. But separately, I do think the second steel mill is more of a priority than I was initially letting on. Just seeing how our alloy count is kind of draining in the midst of all this construction, it makes me think about, well, what happens if an emergency comes up and we're low on alloys? Are we going to be able to keep up with things? And I just don't think so. So this steel mill, though it is paused right now and it will remain paused for some time yet, I think is going to be a rather urgent requirement, while this docking bay, truth be told, I think needs to be removed. I think 2 docking bays is probably enough. As many of you suggested in the comments, we could use this space for some of our stability buildings instead. There are a few that need to be researched, but separate from that as well, of course, we have access to quite a few options down over here from prior research, and if memory serves me correctly, at least one of these is extra efficient in an industrial sector as long as we do the research for it. So once we have our tech lab up and running again in Sector 3, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at which one exactly belongs in what we know is going to be our industrial sector, right? Sector 2 is destined for that. So we'll pick one out accordingly. And so not only will we get the +1 stability from the building itself, but an additional, I believe, +1 from it being industrial focused and that research being done. So that'll really help counteract this neutral sector stability we're seeing right now. And I think as we move further, it's going to be more and more important, and it's going to apply more and more pressure, especially as these negatives keep stacking. Like, my goodness, it's like every decision or indecision leads to additional negative stability. So just got to stay on top of that, and we need to have room for that, of course. So I don't want to be reliant on a third docking bay if we can avoid it. Of course, our second has a couple of slots still available, right? So there's no rush for this third docking bay. So you know what? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and commit to that and actually dismantle this building right away, so we know that we have that space available for future development. Separately as well, in Sector 2, it was pointed out to me that our stability is seeing a +2 from people living mostly in optimized quarters. Evidently, if they're all living in optimized quarters, it goes from a +2 to a +3. Now, I can't verify that, I don't know that for sure, but we can certainly check, because if we take a look at population management right now, Sector 2 has a housing capacity for 340 people, but the population here is just 230. So if we get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4 times 20 homes, that means we have 80 less homes, which, if we do the math over here quickly, leaves us with a housing capacity of 260, which is still more than enough for our current population. So as a part of these major redesigns, why don't we go ahead and, yes, dismantle 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings over here, and while that hopefully temporarily hits us with a bit of homelessness and a negative stability, I imagine these guys are very quickly going to find empty spaces in some of these optimized quarters, and that trouble will go away right away. And then, of course, as we need to send more people to live in Sector 2, we'll be able to place optimized quarters in these spaces as well, while at present we're accumulating alloys, which we can use to build up our DLS center over here. So all that, I think, is timed nicely enough to make all this work, while down over here in Sector 3, we're currently building up our tech lab, which needs 30 workers. So let me just check something with regards to population management here. We have 40 workers, and we need 33. So if we have another 30 added to that, we'll need 63, which means that we're going to have a very horrible imbalance. Why don't we go ahead and pause the construction of this tech lab, finish the construction of this optimized quarters, and then send some workers over, oh, the colonization training center only needs 4 workers, so pausing that is barely going to make a difference, or rather I should say shutting it down is barely going to make a difference. So we'll leave that as is as we wait for this to be built, and as we plan to clear out more room for additional optimized quarters, because of course we want to make sure that we're what's the word I'm looking for? Bringing non-workers here as quickly as possible to enable the preparation of colonists, right? We need 30 colonists and a viable planet, which I do believe we found, but until we have 30 colonists, we're not really going to be able to do anything there, I assume. Though with that said, why don't we go ahead and zoom on out to the system map now to take a look at Divi-59, because if memory serves me correctly, the science ship Calypso has retrieved all science from this location, and we're now able to make a decision with regards to what happens next. The Galileo is busy at Parenti 85, and after we're done up over here, I have some plans for the Calypso, which will hopefully play out nicely, but first, of course, yes, let's go ahead and see exactly what's going down at Divi-59. Summary of intelligence on Divi-59 scans. Divi-59 is eligible for colonization testing. Data collection will help shape future Dolos initiatives. Transmission from the team of the Calypso. We have landed on Divi-59. Despite the cold and harsh environment of the planet, the atmospheric conditions and gravity are remarkably similar to Earth's. There are large bodies of frozen water on the planet's surface. Okay, very promising. We have a few options here. Well, a couple. We could either establish basic neocon colony infrastructure or advanced neocon colony infrastructure. So these are literally a matter of doubling our resource investment. No, it's not. That's not true. We go from 40 alloys to 60 alloys, from 30 food to 60 food, and from 30 colonists to 60 colonists. So some of that's doubling, some of it is only 1.5 times as much. Fair enough. It also increases our time commitment. A basic neocon colony infrastructure prepares potential colonists for life in new ecosystems. Simple physiological and psychological evaluations are conducted within local environments, providing useful field data to refine Dolos colonization protocols. Or advanced infrastructure will prepare potential colonists for life in new ecosystems as well. This is the difference. It'll work in tandem with the Tiqqun's tech lab, with extensive physiological and psychological evaluations being conducted. Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, it is that much more. It is that much more, and that explains the additional investment as far as resources are concerned. For the time being, I'm going to actually leave the planet and return later, and we're probably going to chase after the advanced infrastructure. But in order to do that, of course, we have to have 60 colonists. So there's no point trapping the Calypso here, waiting for all those resources to arrive when there's other work it can be doing. So let's leave the planet and return later. And we're actually going to send the Calypso over to Rokitansky D79, because we're going to send Calypso through the storm towards Chevy 34. Now, I say through the storm, but I've noticed something about how ships are moving through space, which we should be able to take advantage of to take the Calypso next to the storm instead and arrive at Chevy 34. But I'll explain that when the time actually comes, once it arrives at Rokitansky D79. For the time being, let's head on back to the interior of the Tiqqun, and let's have time move forward. And we can see Sector 2's homelessness has been instantly solved, but it looks like we're still seeing neutral sector stability. That +2 has stayed as a +2. It's not gone up to +3. Again, maybe I misunderstood the comment, or maybe I am otherwise ill-informed or something like that, but it doesn't look like we have anybody not living in optimized quarters. No one's homeless, right? We have all these guys topped up. In fact, there's still room for more inhabitants, so it's not like a homelessness issue. It would have been listed down over here as well if it was. Okay, well, hey, we it is what it is. At the end of the day, we needed those alloys to more quickly build up the DLS center down over here, so not the end of the world. I'm not disappointed or upset at our decisions over here, though I am a little confused as to if I misunderstood or if it was patched and so now operates differently or something. But nonetheless, it is what it is. While over here, yeah, this is still being emptied, and pretty soon we'll be able to vastly improve our food output. Again, it's already looking very good, but it doesn't hurt to have more food available, as we're also finally seeing, wow, the docking bay over here no longer has any cryonic pods. They're all at the stockpile now, so that's all finally being taken care of. It's taken long enough, but it is finally happening, as down over here this construction is almost complete. Some of these spaces are being cleared out as well. Good stuff. Again, we're going to have a docking bay up over there and a probe launcher down over here. Neither of those, by the way, are super urgent, because again, colonists will take some time to prepare, right? We want to have, what, 60? So 15 colonists are trained over 5 cycles. 60 takes, what, 4 times 5, that's 20 cycles, and only then, if I understand the mechanics correctly, will we need a docking bay. So there's no rush up over there, right? But instead, I would like to, yes, clear out some of these spaces for additional housing and stuff like that as well, and might as well make room, right? Might as well make room where we know it'll eventually be necessary, while stockpiling, yes, the essential alloys. DLS center is, whoop, that's not what I meant to click. Hold on, what was that? Sector 3 is active, Sector 2 is active. Oh, just letting us know about train stations. Okay, fair enough. I didn't expect to see 2 options there, but all good. So the DLS center, which is what I meant to click on, is being built right now, which will help our stability tremendously. It only needs 3 workers, which I believe we have enough wiggle room for, so that should be fine. And this is paused, so that's not a concern either, the 30 workers that are needed here. Again, we will need additional housing eventually, but not just yet, not quite now. Docking bay. I do also wonder about an additional EVA airlock in Sector 3, like up over here, to help with repairs, right? We're still seeing a positive balance per cycle, but I just wonder if we should try and get ahead of that. We'll consider our options when the time comes, but it does also help with the space specialization I was hoping to chase with Sector 3, right? So, we'll see. No need to think about that just quite yet, maybe. As if we take a look at the system map, we are... What's happening? Oh, are we waiting for resources? We are, yes. Okay. I was wondering why there was no progress over here. And what's happened here? A workshop in Sector 3 has seen... Alright, issues. Let's take a look at this first. Is it going to be fixed automatically? Yes, it is. Okay, good stuff. We have this housing here completed as well, so why don't we go ahead and make some adjustment to population by sending people from Sector 1, where we have way more than we need, over to Sector 3. So, I got to figure this out. We're going to have a tech lab built, which is another 30. We have room for how many? 104? So why don't we go ahead and send 60, maybe, workers over? What does that do to us over here? We need 169. We have 256. That takes us, if we get rid of 60, that takes us to 190 something workers. Sure. So workers only from Sector 1 to Sector 2. We want 60. Only workers from Sector 1, not to Sector 2, sorry, to Sector 3. That would have been a silly mistake. Only workers, Sector 1 to Sector 3, 60. Start migration. Cool. And so here we have room for 52 plus 10-ish, give or take, 62. So we have enough room for all those people, and we'll separately build up our additional housing opportunities up over here for the non-workers to move into as well. But first I want to get this tech lab up and running, right? The longer we don't have tech happening, the longer we're falling behind for. So that's not ideal, obviously. As up over here in the system map, I did notice that, first of all, we're making progress over here at Parenti 85, which is exciting. But separately, yes, the Calypso is going to make its move. So hopefully this will work out nicely. As you can see, it's only slightly in the red up over here. But if we go ahead and make a move and try to reach Chevy 34, we should be able to adjust our course partway through our travels and come out on top. Let's see, if we go ahead and select the Calypso again. Yes, beautiful. Ooh, hang on, did that actually make a difference or no? It looks like it made a difference, right? Let's try it again after a few more steps. Is that getting slimmer, or am I still taking too much of a chance? Maybe we could wait a little bit longer, because it seems to, again, it calculates a new curved route from where it currently is to where it's going. Yes, that's definitely getting further and further away from the storm. So a bit of micromanagement. I don't know if this is the intended use of the mechanic, but it's certainly a way to use route calculations to our advantage. And if we get just a little bit closer, Even though we seem to be in the clear right now, I'd like to just be 100% sure. And there you go, head to Chevy 34 without any concern of being caught in this storm over here. Of course, on the way back out, we might be in trouble because it's not as much room to adjust our course, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Oh boy. We're about to reach the point of no return. If I want to retreat these guys, now's the time to do it. Again, down the line, we can always move the Tiqqun over to here and then rescue those guys before we leave this system. That's an option as well, obviously, just not a trigger we need to pull just quite yet. As this population transfer has been completed, let's head on over to Sector 3 and continue the construction of this tech lab. And why don't we go ahead and get rid of this road over here as well. This is where the docking bay will go. Again, it can wait. And let's get rid of the road. All these little, like, outcroppings or whatever you want to call them. Let's go ahead and get rid of them and try and clean all this stuff up a little bit as we continue to collect more alloys and clean this space up. Lots of alloys available. Room for them? Not necessarily. So we might need to build our probe launcher sooner rather than later, which is 90 alloys, 9 workers. That's not too bad. And we can pop you right down over here as you were before, pretty much. Not exactly, but close enough. And move on from there. I see no reason to leave this space empty. It fits quite snugly as well, so sure, yeah, let's do it. Keep you paused for the time being, because we're not in a rush. Okay? We don't need a probe launcher immediately. I'm in such a strange space right now where things are looking pretty good. The DLS center over here has been completed as well, so we get that +1 from our propaganda policy too, which is great to see. We're going to leave these spots empty for the time being. Again, we will eventually need additional housing, but it does look like all we get is the +2 from people living mostly in optimized quarters. So my plan for putting one of the regular quarters up over here still stands, because evidently it doesn't actually make a difference. That's all well and good. And down over here, I'm sure it's been a while now that this has been cleared up, though before we get to work over here, let's take care of Sector 3, where they need just a little bit more food. Sector 3, you need 10 food at least. Let's go ahead and chase after 15. And it's been proposed to me that the production sector should have its number minimized. So let's go ahead and put Sector 1 down to, let's say, 10, because now what should be happening is it'll never actually be able to get down to that 10 number, but in all cases, it should be able to output food to the other sectors. That makes sense to me. And Sector 2, I believe, has enough. 25 is, enough. Sector 3 is chasing after 15, which is, yes, more than enough, which is my plan always. Let's actually take this up to 20, because we are going to send like non-workers and stuff over as well, right? So let's make sure there's room enough for that. And Sector 3 is seeing low stability. Why? What's going on over here? Negative. Is it because of workers still? Let's shut you back off. No, it's not that. +2, +1. A lot of negatives. What's the difference over here? Oh, is it optimized quarters? No, we've got that already. What positives do we have over here? Alternative Life Center and the propaganda policy. Right, so we are missing a few. That's a lot of negatives, and they keep stockpiling, eh? They keep just piling on. What do we want to do? Where have we placed our center over here? Okay, so why don't we go ahead and match that and build an alternative life center over here, locked up like so. Leaves a 3 spot over there, or we can extend this onwards. This leaves enough room for more housing over here, though, which is nice. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and build this thing up. And I guess I can resume you as well, because that's not what was actually causing any trouble. Let's try and get this thing done. Do we have electronics here? We do indeed. And that'll hopefully allow for slightly increased stability at least. It'll take us to neutral, which is not great, but at least it's something. And I just wonder where we can comfortably fit a DLS center. Again, these roads are not going to be here for much longer, right? They're temporary. Let's go and get rid of you. Put these roads down as they're actually supposed to be. So we could perhaps put a DLS center up over here as well. Takes a lot of space, though, doesn't it? Takes a lot of space. Sector 3 seeing another accident. Where I don't see one. It immediately gets solved. In Sector... Oh, no, that's in Sector 1. Okay, I'm a little concerned about the negative stability over here. This will obviously help us get up to neutral, but I wonder if I should have built a DLS center instead, or if I save the DLS center for this corner over here. That's where they seem to be ending up. One over there, one over here. I suppose I could do it down over here as well. Where's my DLS center? It'll fit snugly over here. Sure, right at the edge. It'll block this road axis off, but that's not the end of the world, I would say. Alternatively, I can... Ah, it seems wasteful. Let's go ahead and do this. and we have enough electronics for that final piece as well. If we take a look at resource management, Sector 3, are you accepting electronics? No. Let's go ahead and make sure you have, 3 electronics at all times. Sector 2 is producing them. Let's make sure you are actually exporting them as well then. Keep a minimum of, let's say 2, or let's say 4. I feel like electronics come up more often than we'd like to think. And Sector 3 is going to need them quite a bit as well, because these guys are actually needed for the preparation of colonists, if memory serves me correctly. Yes. So we're going to have to make sure we keep that flowing. And separately as well, let's go ahead and get another set of optimized quarters built up over here, right? Really not a big fan of these gaps, but I guess there's always gaps. There's always gaps. Okay, fine. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. I got to stop fretting about that. Later on, I might move the alternative life center if I deem it necessary, but for the time being, this will have to do. We have enough alloys for building not all of these guys up. What's our alloy situation looking like? Sector 3, you are accepting alloys minimum of 40, and Sector 2 is still producing them, right? And we should be able to ship them over. Okay, fair enough. We should be good. Now, back down over here to complete that redesign, right? Let's go ahead and get rid of the roads. Let's get rid of these roads as well, and let's go ahead and build our additional crop farm up over here like so, right? That way when we're moving goods, the workers will bring water down very quickly, right? Down this road, and when it's time to take food up, they'll just be able to go up this way, and drop food off. I think that's a very convenient spot for it, as opposed to over here, which is very far away, or like right in the middle, which seems chaotic. Very chaotic. So let's go ahead and pop you down over here. And again, this might be overkill for the time being, but I do think it's... Oh, hey, it's a lot of people just hanging around. Didn't realize they actually just walk around like that. I've noticed it, but also not registered in my mind. Anyway, this I think is the optimal positioning for our crop farm, and I do wonder about building more solar panels sooner rather than later, just because we're getting up there as far as power consumption is concerned, right? Just getting up there. That's negative. Makes me very, very, very concerned. Put it that way. Very concerned. Producing this as well. As up over here, we need 5 more alloys. Can we prioritize you so we can at least get these guys to neutral sooner rather than later, and then we can get the propaganda running as well? I really hope I am not going to regret that placement. I know this is different. I know this is upright instead, and maybe I should have done that instead, but growing pains. Growing pains. Learn as we go. Call it what you will. Oh, hopefully this was the right call. We have room for some people over here, but not enough that I feel comfortable sending a bunch of colonists over, or non-workers over to be trained as colonists. Not just quite yet. As separately, I think we're okay to speed time up. We have a meal cycle active right now. Everyone's got food across the board, but separately, yes, I should definitely go up over here to Chevy 34 to see what's actually happening behind the storm. Our probe has detected an abnormally high concentration of metal isotopes within Chevy 34's core. Transmission from the Calypso's team. We have reached the core of Chevy 34. Metallic and prismatic formations arise from its surface. Reaching impressive heights, they disappear into the gaseous atmosphere. Some are surrounded and spanned by geometric rock clusters accumulated during the slow growth process of the formations. They shear the winds that sweep across Chevy 34's core. So we could try and perform intrusive analysis using explosive charges, which I like to avoid as much as possible. You know it, I'm going to try and chase after the establishment of infrastructure to support exploration and geological analysis, but folks, if we send a cargo ship, I'm pretty sure it's going to just go waltzing through the storm and probably get destroyed alongside all of the alloys it's carrying. So we're going to hold at Chevy 34 for the time being, and we're actually going to tell our tech lab, which I realize now has been sitting idle for far longer than it should have been, despite my lecture to myself earlier, but maybe that's worked out nicely, because now we can take the time to tell the cargo ship to maybe focus on improvised repair protocols. They're more likely to endure dangerous weather conditions. It'll cost 40 science, but I can't think of anything else that is super urgent. Again, we want to complete everything out over here as quickly as possible to unlock more upgrades. Yes, for example, the demotic quarters, right, which also needs additional work alongside the smart homes, or was it the Nihei quarter protocols? Anyway, point being, there's other stuff that we wanted to chase after as well. We'll cross those bridges when we get to them. For the time being, maybe it does make sense to, yes, upgrade our cargo ship with the improvised repair protocols, and then we can go chasing after some of these options out over here, which aren't, I was going to say so urgent, but that +2 to stability while below 0 is feeling very, very tempting right now, isn't it? Separately, though, if we take a look at memorials, if we see Let's take a look here. Okay, so complementary in diversity means that we'll see another +1 to stability to a sector that has a Marduk Memorial and Tier 1 industrial specialization. So that's an extra +1. Then I saw O to competence, which is an additional +1. So it goes beyond what I was remembering, actually. So now that's gone from +1 to +2 to +3 if we have the Marduk Memorial and now Tier 2 industry specialization in our at our memorial. So we've got this here for food specialization and this for population specialization. Okay, interesting. So stuff to consider if we want to build some of those memorials. The Marduk Memorial is what belongs in Sector 2, right? Because it's going to be our industry specialization. But if we take a look here, we do have it. Batteries last 20% longer. I mean, I'm not going to say that's useless, but it's not as useful as I was expecting. I was expecting higher throughput or something, you know? Anyway, it is what it is. Is there anything I want to change over here? People are happy. Working conditions are optimal, but only just. So I suppose it could stay as is, and pretty soon we'll be able to send our cargo ship over as well. Why don't we keep things as they are for the time being? I was going to say, why don't we go ahead and build some more housing and get some additional structures active, but the reason why we're not going to do that is because people are happy and working conditions are optimal, and we don't need anything else from Sector 2 right now. Again, we will eventually want that second steel mill, but for the time being, we're okay. We're running just fine, as over here, we don't have any alloys. Why is that? Let's take a look at resource management really quickly. Sector 3, you are bringing in a minimum of 40, and Sector 2, you are exporting a bunch until you have just, oh, but not to Sector 3. That's what, I deserve that. I deserve that for having changed that many sessions ago and then not fixing it. There you go. Immediately we're seeing some movement, I think, to send some alloys over, and that should help us get some work done over here. Silly me. I'm glad I prioritized this alternative life center, because otherwise we'd still be at negative over here. But this has worked out. These guys are coming through, and immediately they're being pushed to yes. Okay, cool. That's all well and good. Up over here, meanwhile, this has been completed. Let's go ahead and build our fields. As the crew of the cargo ship Hermes has become more experienced, it can now store more resource units. That's actually very good to see. But yes, back on task over here. Let's go ahead and build these crop fields. How? This is always what gets me. It's like, never fits nicely. I know what we could do to make it fit nicely, but it would require us to have another step deeper in, which we just don't have room for right now. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I do 5, 6, 7? That was a mistake. Misclick. 8 and 9, leaving us some room for what? 1, 2, 3, like another one if I wanted to build one here, or maybe some insect farms down over here. It leaves us some squared off room for, you know, maybe a memorial instead. If we take a look at our options, it was what the genetic conatus one, I believe, that ties into food, right? We could fit that in here, or either way, leaves room for some important options. And again, this is, I think, the right position for the farm itself, for easy access to water and the easy depositing of food as well. Now, we're going to have way more food produced than necessary, but I would rather have a surplus of food than an emergency situation. As some of you pointed out in the comments of the previous episode, relying so heavily on one building as our primary source of food is absolutely foolish, and I wholeheartedly agree, which is why I wanted to get this established as soon as possible, because if there's an accident, if something happens and this gets shut down, we at least have a backup running, right? So it's very essential, I think, to have at least 2 fields or farms running like this. More, we can talk about that down the line, as improvised repair protocols have been unlocked. Let's head on over to our tech lab and chase after what next. The mushroom wall might not be a terrible idea. Let's go after the legislative strengthening center, because I feel like we'll need that sooner than anything else, including, yes, waste treatment or mushroom walls or anything. Again, if we want to actually process waste and use waste, it'll hurt stability based on the DLS center policies. So we'll have to plan accordingly, like have reduced work hours or something to counteract that damage to stability. Down over here, this is getting completed. Excellent. Up over here, we are building you as well, and soon we'll be able to move non-workers over to train into colonists. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Speed time up a little bit. Oh, what do we have here? 12 crew members injured in Sector 2. Polymer refinery is okay. Oh, right, this reminds me, though. We have some work here to be done. Am I going to take this risk? I think so. Which one upgraded? Who leveled up? The Hermes? All right, let's go ahead and Establish infrastructure to support exploration and geological analysis. And let's go ahead and get the Hermes bringing those resources over. Only 3 out of 50 available? How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? Nonetheless, let's bring you over. Let's close this. That's a big risk. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a very big risk. And I just want to see in Sector 2, we really only have 3 alloys? I guess we do. Huh. About that second steel mill. Huh. Let's go ahead and set this to 60 for the time being. Just because we want to make sure there's enough for the Hermes to take away, and then later on we can change it again. We're still shipping stuff over to Sector 3. All right, we'll see how... We'll see how this plays out. We'll see how this plays out. Maybe we need that second steel mill sooner rather than later. Nonetheless, separately as well, in the system map, we should head on over to Parenti 85. These guys have been waiting for some time now for orders. So what's going on at Parenti 85? Phenomena have been discovered on Parenti 85 that appear to defy the Coriolis effect. Particles specific to self-similar space were also detected. These clearly play a major role in the complex balance of forces present on Parenti 85. That is 75 science ready for extraction, my goodness. Resume data listening protocol. Not much else left to do. Let's go ahead and leave Parenti 85 then, and collect all that science. My goodness, that should take us to the finish line as far as some of our research is concerned. So that's great to see. And separately, we're now going to keep, a wary eye on the Hermes as it makes its way over to Chevy 34, delivering some goods, which hopefully it'll actually be able to do in one trip. That's the big thing. I want to try and get it done in one trip, but I don't know if we're going to see 4 cycles of alloy production. 15 per cycle. It'll take 4 cycles to have enough to actually do it all in one round trip. Hey, it is what it is. Let's try and stockpile it over here though, and see if we can't accomplish our goals before we invest those alloys elsewhere. This housing over here is still being worked on. Okay, good stuff. Sector 2 accident is, you're right, it's going to be fixed automatically. And down over here we're seeing progress, and we're going to see so much food production. I guarantee you we're going to end up with more food than we could use for quite some time yet. As over here I am seeing the lack of alloys now causing us some trouble in some places, not all. But as soon as alloys arrive at the EVA airlock here, we're back at a positive. Okay, so that's reassuring. Let's put it that way. That's reassuring. Do we have enough alloys? No, we're not going to have enough alloys for one round trip. So it'll be risk after risk for the Hermes. That's the Hermes right there. It is about to arrive. Can I cancel this? I can't, eh? Now that I've made the decision, I can't cancel it. Oh, we don't need 60, we need 50. Nonetheless, it's not going to be done in one trip because we don't have 50 available over here right now. Just the 12. You almost done? Almost. Almost. But that's also not going to be enough to actually do it all in one trip. It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. I'm going to watch the Hermes arrive over here in just a moment's time and just not have enough. Oh, no. Okay, we're actually moving some alloys down over here. We have 10 now. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Actually, I don't know. Is the Hermes just going to stay until... Ooh, it might. Okay, good. Because previously we've seen cargo ships go with only partial cargo, and I assumed it was because they weren't able to pick up all of it before leaving. But no, I guess it's because their capacity was preventing them from picking up any more. So that's actually really good. That's actually really good. That means we are going to be able to pull this off in one trip and minimize the potential for loss there as other cargo ships arrive as well. This is really cool to see, actually. Really cool to see, like, just how active this area becomes. I'm a sucker for this kind of like level of detail and stuff. Nonetheless, over here we are out of alloys, of course, because we're trying to maintain a certain amount up over here, which will take just a little bit longer to get done, and then we can start providing alloys elsewhere as well, and construction and stuff can resume. Though, of course, over here we have plenty of alloys that we can still pick up. Let's go ahead and do exactly that. Let's go ahead and scoop you guys up. Let's go and scoop you up as well, just to get our balance over here fixed sooner rather than later. Good stuff. And the tech lab, are you currently researching? You are indeed. Got plenty of science left to yes, finish off this 3rd tier as well. And grab the alloys over there. Good stuff. Speed time up a little bit. Good stuff, good stuff. We are done at Parenti 85. There's not much else to chase after. We need to send our probe out to seek the Protagoras, but of course for that we need the probe launcher, and for that we need more alloys. So just holding off on that for the time being. Looks like we were able to accumulate enough steel over here. Legislative Strengthening Center has been unlocked. Let's head on over to our tech lab and get you chasing after what? The mushroom wall. Sure, research that next. And I thought I saw another notification over here. Disabled in Sector 3 due to an accident. 9 crew members were injured. We're down to neutral again because this DLS center has been activated, and we now do have over here propaganda. Okay, excellent. As soon as this gets fixed up in less than a cycle, we should see positive stability over here as well. And we have another housing unit, rather, I should say, completed over here. So why don't we go ahead and send, yes, non-workers from Sector 1 to Sector 3. We have room for about 56 more people. Why don't we send 45 to start with? Only non-workers from Sector 1 to Sector 3. Start that migration, because that, if I remember my math correctly, is enough for 3 cycles of producing colonists without applying too much pressure on the housing situation. We will, of course, want to take a look at this being highlighted over here just so we can get rid of the notification. And we'll want to build another optimized quarters over here. Yeah, sure. Or do I want to square this off at this point in time? No, we can keep going one more step, I think. Sure. Pop you down there. Get rid of that road there because it is going to bother me. And we'll see what kind of adjustments are necessary down the line. But all the essentials have been built. Let's pick up these alloys here and here and here as well. And we'll try and build the probe launcher soon too, just so we, yes, have access to you know, exploration and discovery, obviously. Separately, though, why don't we go ahead and make some adjustments as far as resource management is concerned. The alloy stock here should be kept at, let's say 10, because we do want to make sure there's enough available for the EVA airlock at all times. And I want to be careful about that, obviously, because that could lead to trouble if we don't keep an eye on that. Separately over here, where is the Hermes? Oh, you know what? It's actually made it through. I guarantee you that wouldn't have happened if we didn't research that upgrade to it. I guarantee you with almost certainty, but now it's got to make its trip back, right? Right through the store. My goodness, please make it. Please make it through. We'll find out in due time, obviously. Nonetheless, back inside, what have we got going on over here? Right, a lack of alloys. It's fine, it's fine. It's not urgent. Though, as I say, a lack of alloys, I keep glancing at the steel mill over here. It's more about workers over here as well. We already see extra hours. So why don't we go ahead and build up some optimized quarters. So again, we don't find our backs up against a wall. Pop you down over there. And that gives us enough workers for this additional steel mill. And then some extra as well, as long as we actually move workers over, obviously. Only 9 cryonic pods left, eh? Oh boy. Well, 9 plus 3, so 12. So we're reaching the end game as far as these new colonists are concerned, or new workers are concerned. Though we'll see, I'm sure more will be available elsewhere as well. Population transfer has been completed over here. All 45 inhabitants living over here. Let's go ahead and train 15 colonists. No training in progress. Why is that? It's bringing electronics over. Yeah, cool. Now what about train? Okay. What am I looking for here? Oh yeah, okay. Time remaining. Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So these guys are actually working. Again, we got to get up to 60, right? If memory serves me right. And what do we have going on over here? No alloys up there, no alloys up here. Hence the massive negative to hull integrity. But I'm sure we'll have alloys soon enough. God knows we have plenty of iron. I'm not concerned about that. But separately, that reminds me, I should take a look at fleet management over here to make sure no one's sitting around doing nothing. Which is exactly what we've got going on over here. Not ideal, not ideal. Let's get Pandora bringing the carbon back as well. And that should be a decent balance of things. There are those, I vaguely remembered another set of cryonic pods being out there somewhere. So why don't we go ahead and send who? We don't need more silicon urgently. Or is that a lie I'm telling myself? That might be a lie I'm telling myself. Iron is a constant necessity. I'm not going to mess around with that. So sure, why don't we go ahead and get the whale over here chasing after those colonists as well. As separately, if we take a look at the system map, we're going to see the Hermes has made it through, right? Yes, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay, I'm glad that worked out. And up over here, still 4 cycles. No, we actually have to make a second round trip. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Ah, damn. Okay. Okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. I always click on this view before going inside for some reason. I don't know where that new habits come from, but I gotta stay on top of that. Now, working conditions in Sector 2 have become optimal again. Not sure exactly what changed. Not sure exactly what changed, but I'm gonna play it safe and get this optimized quarters set either way. Down over here, all is well, all is well. Let's go ahead and build this probe launcher, just so we can start looking around again. I think it's not a bad idea. Needs an additional 9 workers. We have wiggle room there for sure. Cool. Resume. And we have another set of optimized quarters over here. We can go ahead and send 15 more non-workers from Sector 1. Sector 1 to Sector 3. We want 15 more non-workers. Begin that migration. Cool. Are we able to sustain the population? Housing capacity of 208, current population of 160? Yes, of course. We specifically made decisions based on that, right? So let's get that done. Mess hall is looking good. Food supply is looking okay. We might need to provide some more, as another accident has happened in Sector 1. Why all these accidents in Sector 1? And are we actually seeing negative balance of water? We are indeed. Okay. So we might need to take a look at acquiring more ice as well, because there's very little ice left on this fusion station. And hull integrity is now below 50%. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. And I think it's because we're, yes, still stockpiling alloys for this mission over here. Are we okay? Pause this construction. Not as urgent as some other things. Pause that construction. In fact, I might even cancel it, truth be told, just to keep repairs running. And did we really just move the Hermes? I think so. I think the Hermes is shipping out again. Carrying how much? 17 alloys. 17 alloys versus the 17 we need. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully it'll make it, though. Hopefully it'll make it through. Time will tell. Alright, okay. So this has been paused. Alloys are now being delivered once more to the EVA airlocks. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Storage has resumed as well. Production continues at a decent rate. Alright, now we can resume your construction. Again, the just-in-case construction. Could have paused that sooner, but hey, it is what it is. It's fine. And down over here, we need more alloys for sure. And hopefully as the stockpile here increases, we'll be able to get work on this. Again, not urgent. The docking bay up over here, docking platform, sorry, not urgent. What's urgent is these colonists that we now have 15 available. And let's go ahead and train another set of 15, taking us up to 30. We want 60, right? And yes, I know I could train automatically, but I don't think that's necessary just quite yet. I just want to keep an eye on our, usage of electronics and things like that before things go completely sideways and we overdo it. Want to play it safe when possible. But this is looking good so far. This is looking good so far. Sector 3 is cool, calm, and collected. Same thing with Sector 2 and Sector 1 as well. Though again, the ice situation is well, it's a situation. So let's make sure. Yes, the Pandora is chasing after ice. Do I need an additional cargo ship? I think we're fine as is. Again, it is bringing ice over here. These guys are off. That's why it's not moving through. So I'm going to go ahead and turn one of these guys on, because we get extra hours. Okay. And literally as I do that, are you for real? Look at that. Literally as I do that. Cycle 510. Small, stockpile small has been disabled in Sector 2 due to an accident. 3 crew members were injured. 1 crew member was killed. Are you for real? Are you for real? Just a moment of extra hours is all it took. God damn. I mean, look, there's not much I can do about that other than be ever so slightly grumpy about it. We were being so careful. It's okay. Look, every once in a while, lives will be lost for the greater good, I suppose. Nonetheless, with that done, why don't we go ahead and move some workers over, I suppose, from Sector 1 into Sector 2. We can afford it, certainly, yes. How much housing capacity do we have? Quite a bit. So we could move, I'd say even like 30 workers. Let's go with 20. 20 seems ample. Or you know what? No, let's go with 30. Let's go with 40, because I realize now there's that steel mill that if we do want to build and get operational, we'll need a bit more of a surplus than what's being represented right now. But removing 40 from up over here leaves us with 190-ish. Is that going to keep us out of extra hours? I should certainly hope so. So let's go ahead and move only workers from Sector 1 to Sector 2, start that migration. And it occurs to me, by the way, that the whale is bringing people back, but it's not actually taking them to a place where there's room available for them. We need the whale working up over here if we want that to happen. The Galileo can be unassigned over here, and we can get the whale assigned over here instead. And let's go ahead and get, sorry, not what I meant, the whale chasing after ice and people. And then separately, we can go ahead and get the science ship Galileo assigned to the Nagoya. just temporary while we're bringing all those colonists or the cryonic pods back in, right? So that should be fine. That should be fine. And I think, yeah, once those workers move in over here, we'll maybe go ahead and actually resume the construction of the steel mill, because maybe I've waited just a little bit too long. Maybe just a little bit too long, and I just wasn't expecting such a quick turnaround on that. It's okay, though. Things are looking all right. Let's go ahead and clear some of these roads up. Are you for real? We lost the Hermes. We lost the Hermes. And not only did we lose the Hermes, we actually lost all those alloys as well. God damn. On its way back too. Okay, so at least the alloys weren't lost, but we did lose a crew member because the cargo ships, they only need one person to operate. They managed to deliver all the resources to Chevy 34, but on the way back, well, man, back-to-back losses. That really hurts to see. That really hurts to see, especially after being so very careful about it too. But yes, we have to build ourselves an additional cargo ship now. We can't fall too far behind on the acquisition of resources, right? And we got, God knows we have enough polymers to build another cargo ship, so let's get that done. Oh man, that is such a shame. This new one is called Quicksilver. Good name. Good name. God. Our research definitely helped us. We made 3 trips through the storm. It was the last one that finally did us in. It's all dice rolls, I guess, man. Just our bad luck. Just our bad luck. Nonetheless, let's move time forward a bit more quickly over here. Hull integrity is looking good. Again, efficiency has increased because of the amount of damage we've taken. And it's only a matter of time before it turns back to a negative because we've run out of alloys. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're fine. Population transfer is complete. Working conditions are optimal here once more. If we get the steel mill up and running, that's 235 workers that'll be required and 239 that'll be available. Is that extra hours or is that still optimal? Again, there's a percentage gap, right? So I do think it's time to actually get the steel mill done. Do we have electronics here? We don't, do we? We do not. Oh no, of course we do. What am I saying, man? This is our hub. This is where everything gets made. Yeah, I mean, again, this was a period of mass construction, right? And is that why we're seeing the alloy situation? We can always dismantle this down the line if we deem it unnecessary. Do we have enough housing for more people here, though, if we need it? We have room for... Let me just figure this out. 312 people. So there's plenty of room for people to actually come here. But in Sector 1, do we have surplus workers? Not that many now. Not that many. And that's the concern, really, is the worker count. And sure, we could turn other things off to keep the double steel mills going, right? We don't need that many electronics, for example. We could shut this thing off. Maybe that's the right call. Maybe that's the right call. As we have managed to complete the training of 30 colonists, by the way. I don't know if you saw that objective get checked off, but let's go ahead and train another 15. And I do believe Sector 3 has a population of 30 non-workers. So minus 15, and then minus another 15 will take us to the 60 colonists that we need, and then we can finally take a look at Divi, what was it, 59, was it? Alright, Quicksilver. Let's go ahead and get you chasing after iron, always chasing after iron, and silicon as well. Sure, why not? We'll do that. And looks like we've actually brought in a lot of those cryonic pods, which is good as well, because those guys will be, again, waking up and providing a larger workforce. Hopefully not just a bunch of non-workers coming through there, but we'll see in due time, I'm sure. But yes, separately, let's go ahead and resume the construction over here. That will eat up a lot of alloys. But when it's up and running, we'll see what working conditions are and perhaps pause the electronics factory until we're able to bring more workers into Sector 2. Separately, though, if we head on over to the system map, are we done our workup over here? We are indeed. Chevy 34, what have we spent those lives and resources on? Chevy 34 does not possess any subterranean systems that would facilitate exploration within the core of the planet. However, the team did locate a fissure that led to the observation that the formations must originate from deep below. Size analysis returned colossal measurement estimations. The characteristic shape of the formations is thought to derive from a combination of electromagnetic interference and self-similar space particle resonance. Very well, 60 science to be extracted. Let's go for it. And then let's try and find our way home. As over here, ooh. While preparing to depart Chevy 34, the Calypso's captain received an alert from a crew member saying that they had spotted a giant molluscoid near their position. I've never known how to say that. Molluscoid? Is that a hard C? Molluscoid? I know what it is, but I've never known how to say that right. Anyway, what is this now? Resume data listening protocol. I don't like this. I don't like this. Why do you tempt me like this, game? Why do you tempt me like this? Do we investigate? Do we investigate this alien creature? Or do we leave? Man. Okay, hang on. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hang tight, we're going to collect all the science, and then we're going to take the risk, right? Because let's at least try and accumulate as much science as possible before we potentially throw another 5 lives away, right? The science crew is 5 people. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. And I was just talking at the beginning of the session about how things have been pretty stable. Last session was pretty intense, but we'll play it by, we'll be careful, And now this session has been risk after risk, loss after loss, it feels like. I mean, again, we only lost, what, like 4 people? Right? Still hurts to see, as some more cryonic pods have been delivered. Looks like we might be able to stop chasing after them. No, a few more still need to be had, and then we'll be able to reassign the whale once more. As over here, water production seems to be doing okay again. Yeah. Staying positive. Again, this farm isn't entirely completed yet, as mushroom walls have been unlocked as well. Again, to actually get mushroom walls going, we'll need to do a couple of things. We'll have to go ahead and activate waste recycling so we can stockpile waste, and then we'll have to perhaps give generous food portions, and maybe, give supported working hours just to counteract the -1 there. Or again, we can take the -1 here and intensify propaganda, which will allow us to counteract that waste. Again, it's not like it's the end of the world. It's not impossible to do, but it is something we have to consider. And I almost wonder if we want to consider it over here. If we were to build mushroom walls, ooh, hello, that's almost a perfect fit. That is almost a perfect fit. Though it'll prevent us from building the colonization, the memorials, right? Because it's just too big. If we take a look at the memorial over here, they're all the same size. Yeah. Just a little off. Dang. That's a real bummer. Let me check something over here. Canatus? Yeah, we couldn't even rearrange the actual fields or anything, unfortunately. Get rid of the batteries, which I don't really want to do, obviously. Okay, well, we'll figure it out, because if we do the mushroom wall over here, that means one of these stockpiles will have to store waste, right? We have a spare one up over here for that, or we can get a stockpile built down over here as well. Whoops. Food, mushroom wall. Yeah, we'll be able to fill stockpiles, or build stockpiles down over here. And if we do that, though, we'll go from being a +1 happy to a +0 neutral, and then to a +2 happy, if we change these two around. And we might actually unlock food specialization over here for whatever benefit that gives us. Not a terrible idea. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you think that we should chase after food production in, or rather mushroom walls in Sector 1, or perhaps Sector 3 or something, where we've actually had a rather major incident. Because, my goodness, our infirmary itself is where an accident occurred. And so now we don't have any active healing buildings. Now, it'll take 1 cycle for it to actually be repaired, and it says injured crew members will die after a few cycles if they are not hospitalized. So hopefully that balances out and they'll actually be okay. I do not want to lose 13 people because of this bad luck over here. My goodness. But nonetheless, yes, my question about the mushroom wall goes out to you all. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. As separately, I do wonder, if this steel mill gets built, it'll consume another 15 power, taking us up to 395, and then this probe launcher over here will take us over the edge. So we got to make sure that if these two get completed at the same time, we're not in trouble. Hull integrity is currently still above 25%. We need to get on that for a little while before we commission the construction of an additional solar panel. Or I can take advantage of the fact that we're already seeing a negative, and we can do that construction right now, right? Solar panel set 2 or set 1, either works. 75 polymers and 3 electronics. We have enough of both. Let's go for it. Yes. It'll temporarily disable repairs, but we're already seeing no repairs happening. At least now we can allow alloys perhaps to stockpile while we're working on the solar panel, and hopefully it'll work out nicely. Though maybe I should consider pausing some of these constructions if they get closer and closer to complete. Let's move time forward and keep an eye on all these incidents across the board. As separately, right, we should also take a look at our tech lab over here, because we were talking about the mushroom wall. I forgot that we needed to assign something over here. Why don't we go ahead and chase after the cell housing? Sure, research that. And then we'll chase after waste treatment center. Though, under the science ship, we should perhaps consider automatic ship repatriation. No, not that. Emergency cryopods. That would have been nice earlier. Huh. Is there nothing to actually keep you more safe from storms and stuff? I guess not. Damn, okay. Don't know if I like that, as hull integrity over here is now seeing a positive. Because construction hasn't started yet, but there are enough alloys. And of course, my timing has to be terrible like that. It's okay. Look, it's okay. Because that power surplus is, I think, absolutely necessary. We don't have batteries across the entire station just quite yet, is one thing to consider. And the other thing as well is that a blackout hits stability, right? And trust as well, if memory serves me correctly. And some of these things are precariously balanced right now, so we do have to be careful about all those factors. And yeah, you know, I think we're doing right by our people. Construction is going to take how long? Quite a bit of time. Maybe like a couple of cycles over here. But I think it's necessary. We should actually be able to see construction. Look at all those solar panels, by the way, getting built up. I think it's very cool that all this stuff is actually modeled and represented. It's just cool. I know it's like, well, of course, but at the same time, it's very cool. So I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it. My goodness, what a gorgeous game. Real J.J. Abrams over here, but what an absolutely gorgeous game. Look at that. Look at that. Little trails and stuff. Ah, God. Okay, we can't get distracted. We're too deep into the game to get distracted by its beauty. That's how we get accidents, and that's how people start to die. Overall, all's well. Up over here, what's going on with a Chevy 34? Oh my goodness, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to do this? Oh my goodness. You know what? Hang on. Hull integrity is a real problem, actually. We're about halfway done. We're still over 25% integrity. Okay. We should be okay. Up over here, let's go ahead and train another 15 colonists. That should take us to 60 colonists, right? It'll take 5 cycles. But we have all the resources we need for it. Can I pause construction? I can. Because as you can see, the steel mill over here is very close to being actually built up. But this is looking very scary as well. Why don't we go ahead and pause construction. Get a little bit of hull integrity. Go ahead and pause this construction as well. Just before we get the shock of a lifetime over here. And Sector 2 is not seeing enough food. Easy enough to manage. Okay, I guess it just had to be delivered over. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. A little bit more hull integrity. Gotta do some math over here. 25% of 800, I'm assuming, is where the calculation takes place. Like from quarter of 800. Oh, you know what? We paused. Oh, crap. Not enough alloy for repairs? Come on now. Don't give me that. Okay, good. We paused at exactly the right time, because 200 would be 25%. 200 is a quarter of 800. So we paused at exactly the right time before we lost that +1 to stability from hull integrity being over 25%. That is, oh Lord, okay. Okay, good to know. We'll give it some time, and we'll resume the construction shortly. But for the time being, yes, let's repair the hull a bit more, and we'll resume the construction shortly of those solar panels. My goodness. Again, would it have been the end of the world? No, would have been bad though. Would have been rough. We can again turn this thing off, right? That frees up some power as well. Like there's options, but never know when a surprise is going to come at you and take out your infirmary while also injuring 13 people. Looks like this is all fine though, and these guys are being looked after. But my goodness, that was not an ideal spot to be in. Not an ideal spot at all. And I'm very much looking forward to having the steel mill done, because evidently we do, yes, need it, right? We don't have enough alloys. Up over here, still about 3 cycles left until those guys are ready to go. And up over here, yeah, repairs are looking pretty good. Repairs are looking just fine. We'll wait until either we're low on alloys or this is slowed down. Maybe when we cross like 400 and we're at 50% integrity, then we'll go ahead and resume the construction of those solar panels. Because again, now if the probe launcher gets completed, 6 power drain is not going to concern me. And again, it's all with the electronics facility, or factory rather, paused, right? Cell housing has been unlocked. Excellent. Let's go ahead and chase after what? Sure. Waste treatment center. I guess that's the last thing here. And once we find the Protagoras, we'll be able to research this thing, just like the Outer Hope black box was a question mark until it eventually got unlocked. I assume the same thing is happening over here. And what's a bit of a bummer is that we've actually acquired or accumulated all the science that's available, unless the Protagoras has some to give us as well. And I don't even know if we're going to find the Protagoras or something else. But unless that last point of interest has science to capture or to collect, we're going to be here for quite some time researching whatever this question mark actually is, and we'll have to make sure everything's balanced and everyone's well taken care of while that's happening. So just a little unfortunate, but hey, we'd eventually want to research all this stuff anyway, right? So it is what it is up over here. These guys are almost ready to go, which means we'll need our docking bay soon as well. We have, meanwhile, over here, cell housing completed. Requires an adjacent wall. Ooh, minimal quality accommodations, and it requires an adjacent wall. Yikes. Okay, it's expensive in more ways than one then. Interesting. But it houses a lot of people, right? Interesting. If we take a look at our tech lab, cell housing upgrades include false perspective, extra capacity, Jesus, bioelectricity, power cost reduction, or Nihei cell protocol doing what? Giving us nothing? Why would we ever chase after that? Maybe it'll tell us when we unlock some of its prerequisites, but for the time being, it's not giving us anything. Over here, we have acquired our 60 colonists. Excellent. We have acquired a decent bit of hull integrity that we can resume construction of our solar panels if we deem it necessary, and I do deem it necessary, yes, because we're going to see that negative hull integrity now anyway because we lack alloys, and then shortly thereafter we'll be able to complete this steel mill and help deal with this alloy situation, while we have to also make a decision with regards to Chevy 34. Folks, Chevy 34 and V59 are going to wait until next time. We have enough colonists to actually make some moves up over here. We have to send food and alloys with them as well, of course, so that will take some time. We also need our docking bay, and then separately up over here, hopefully the Calypso and all of its crew will survive not just their explorations at Chevy 34, but also their return journey to the Tiqqun. Now, again, I'll leave it up to you, folks. Do you think, a couple questions, and I'll make the ultimate decision, I suppose, but I love getting input from the comments. Do you think we should build a mushroom wall in Sector 1 or in a different sector instead? I think Sector 1 makes the most sense because it is our food specialization, or at least that's the intent, right? We don't have it yet, but I would very much like to get food specialization over here, though again, just as a reminder, that eats up any opportunity we have for establishing a memorial, unless of course we get rid of these two insect farms and place the memorial over here, which is of course a viable option as well. I'm leaning towards that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then separately as well, folks, I would love to hear your thoughts on what we do at Chevy 34. I am immensely curious about this report, but do we really want to send a small expedition out to investigate the supposed location of the life form, or do we simply leave? I am very tempted to learn more, but again, I would love to hear your thoughts, folks. A bit of a cliffhanger today, but what's life without the occasional cliffhanger, right? Next session is going to involve colonization and first contact with aliens, potentially. Folks, if you had a good time, you know what to do. Let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. And as I was mentioning at the beginning of this session, again, folks, if you've been really enjoying this series on the channel, you might want to consider becoming a channel member or patron. Links to both of those are in the description down below. There's the join button below the video as well. And of course, there's always the option of a super thanks, which is a little heart-shaped button next to the join button below the video. With that said, though, folks, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time. Cheers.